Hey guys, welcome back to DMAC Customs on YouTube. Dave here in the garage, Area 51. Just finished a video on the bomb truck, so I thought I might just come back down to the garage and do some work on this stuff. Get started anyway. So I want to get this trunk lid hung and on the car. But before I do that, I want to kind of get some of the stuff in this lip sort of done, especially up the top here, so I don't have to kind of work around the actual trunk lid. So let's get at it. Hey guys, before we go too far on this video, it'd be real cool if you could get in there and subscribe. Chuck a comment down below, let us know you've subscribed, and say hello. That'd be cool. Hit the notifications bell if you want to get notifications on updates on the old Area 51 project, or anything that may be happening on the old bomb truck, or whatever else I'd end up, mucking around with. Yeah, subscribe. Thanks for that. Comment down below, say hello. Alrighty, so I'm going to target these two areas here on the thing, like I just talked about. I'm going to run some fiberglass into those, so we'll get into that. Well, that's what I meant to say. I've given them a bit of a scuff up with some 80 grit just to kind of give the fiberglass a bit more of a key to stick to the epoxy. My main objective is just to kind of like fill up some of the pinholes from all that kind of welding and crap that I did in there. If I was better skilled and better tooled up, I would possibly have looked at kind of reconstructing this whole area, making new stuff, if you know what I mean. But the way I did this chop and had to get this to lay out, I ended up having to cut this and sort of pie cut it, section it, and it got quite butchery, a bit more than I would have liked. But I ain't going to redo it again now. It's solid, it just don't look pretty, so I'm going to try and make it look pretty-ish. Not so ugly. Getting in there like playing with the mud. That'll do us. Oh, not quite. Get rid of that. Alright, I think I got a bit carried away with the hardener on this batch, but we'll make do. Try to anyway. To try again, my DA was going into like grinder mode, so it just bit straight in. Cuts down nice, but man, too fast. block. Hey, but I've cut down the fiberglass on that, just put a quick skim of poo on there. And I've just started cutting down the fiberglass on this side, did what I could with the DA. Now I'm just going to get in there and finish it off by hand. Made a little rubber block out of some rubber I found, so hopefully it's all good and doesn't contaminate my paint and stuff. These masks suck. Oh well, carry on. Hey guys, update. Right, so done my first sandback and then reskim on this side. Done my first sandback and reskim on that side. That side's just been done, so it's wet. This side is like ready to sand. So just update, sanding, exciting stuff. Bodywork, that's has to be done, but yeah, so Bodywork 101 has to be done, so yeah, don't worry about it. I don't know what I'm saying, like fumes, should have my mask on. Anyway, probably edit this bit out. Okay, so I can't remember how many little skims I did a few little touch-ups. There's still a few more to go, but I found something when I was, oh, there's a bit there. There's something, where else was it? Little thing there, but I'll get them a little bit there with the that little glaze putty, that little spot putty stuff, you know. I think there's a low spot there too, which that's alright. Like my main objective was to get all this kind of crack kind of smoothed out a bit, mostly, you know, before we get the old trunk lid back on. So what I'll do next is get the old trunk lid out of hiding, boot lid, whatever you want to call it, and I've got a bit of work to do on the underside of that, just cleaning up some welds and stuff like that from where I cut the frame. And then I can start stripping back the outside of it, get the whole thing into epoxy. I've got to pull these hinges out of here. I want to take them out, prime them up in epoxy as well. So it means I've got to sand them up and all that kind of crap, because I actually cut them when I was doing stuff on the boot. Turns out I probably didn't need to, so now I have to shim the boot lid, or I cut them and it didn't make the difference I thought it was going to do. Something like that, ages ago, can't remember. So yeah, so that's as far as I'm going to take that part. Next, onto the boot lid. Oh, and we'll carry on out up there and those seams and that when we get that far. I just didn't want to start laying filler all over the place. For one, you just get overwhelmed. Two, I haven't got enough. Hey guys, well, a couple of days later, I think, from when we were doing that stuff, got the old Franken boot lid up on this panel stands. This is what I wanted to tidy up underneath. When I did this was during lockdown, I think 2020, and I had run out of like belts for the old belt snapper 1000. Surprise, but back in those days it was actually working quite good. So there's a few sort of areas where I had to, you know, I had to cut this kind of whole inner frame up all through all over the place, but I couldn't get into sort of places like that and kind of clean those up. So that's what I want to kind of get into. I'm just trying to draw some circles around them so I can hopefully find them and just sort of flush those out a little bit more. And there, that one's not bad, that one's a bit ugly. And then in these bits here, just get in there with the old, that one there, not too bad. and just, yeah, just kind of given, it's actually a bit better than I thought it was. I thought it was, well, strangely, I thought it was worse. But yeah, so I just got to kind of get in and give this a bit of a tidy up with the old belt snapper, but I might try and use the not so belt snappy, like the mini B, to get in there and do those sort of thing. So I don't know what I'm saying. It's a long day at work today. There's a few other things I've got to do, clean up in here. When I was doing some gappage stuff, I didn't bother cleaning up the inside, so I've got to kind of get this all prepped up and ready to get some epoxy onto this. Yeah, know what I'm saying? Right, so compressor's charged up, ready to go, so I'll give that a run. That hasn't been going too well. It's like, it's just been going boom, boom. So even worse than normal with my power tools, my air tools on my compressor. But I think I might have had the compressor turned right down, so we'll give it a try. And because I did crank the compressor up the other day, so it might work better now. So let's do it. Okay, so back in the old days when I sprayed this thing black after I Frankensteined it, it was again, we're on the lockdown-y type stuff, and I'd run out of my usual 1K kind of etch primer that I'd kind of seal stuff up, and so I had to send away, and I got this PPG stuff, which is what this black shit is here. Now it's an etch primer, so it's not an epoxy primer that this is. They call it an epoxy because it's got resins and shit in it, but it's actually an etch primer. So I have to take all this off, well, the bulk of it off anyway, before I can spray that other white epoxy on there. Sanding it just gums up the paper, something horrific. So I use some Melbourne Merlot, methylated spirits to some. Can't believe people drink this shit. It reeks. And just strangely that softens it up. So just kind of running a couple of rags and kind of soaking it up, getting it soggy, and then I'll go around and sort of wipe up the softened stuff. And it takes ages. So see you at the end of this. Just joking about the Melbourne Merlot thing, by the way. Don't want to offend any of our Australian cousins over there. To be fair, the first time I heard of people drinking methylated spirits was from an Australian. Alrighty, so I reckon that's about it for the old, Melbourne Merlot treatment. I'm not going to bother taking it off these inner panels here, like the outer skin, but on the inside. Next up, I might kind of get the old DA out and kind of give it an 80 grit over it, everything I can get to with the DA, and then I'll have to finish sanding it up by hand. You know what I'm saying? So I might as well use the last. There we go. One little final wipe over. Have this. Okay, so battery's nearly dead. I haven't sanded, like hand sanded all the hard to get to bits yet. I got kind of caught up doing this bit of surface rust and that's in this. A little bit goes up the sides and there's a bit across the bottom here as well. So I've already sort of sanded that, wire wheeled it multiple times, and I've just gone over it again. And I've also rust fixed it a couple of times, I think, maybe. I can't really remember that far back. So I'm gonna squirt some Dupli-Color Rust Fix, not sponsored in any way. And yeah, while I'm sort of in here, I kind of might like try to explain from memory what I all did under here. As you can see, there's some surgery scars and that here and there from sectioning this boot lid to fit after all of that. It was a bit of a mission, but I've got cuts through here, like I cut, I think that whole piece there out, and I cut a whole piece out here for some reason. I can't really remember why. I actually had to take a section out of the height of the boot lid, I think, so I had to kind of cut stuff all over the place and in this frame to kind of get it all to kind of come back together and roughly support the outer skin. Now it's not kind of super pretty, but it's kind of wiggly evenly, if you know what I mean. Like, so where it's kind of out of shape here, it's out of shape here, so it's symmetrical. So it's symmetrically rough, you know what I mean. But it's not that big a deal. Like, it's an inside of the boot lid. If it was again a SEMA car type of thing, or a Riddler Award type thing, I think that's a thing over in America, isn't it? You'd be trying to do it to a different level. If you were going to do that, then you would unskin it, and if you were really, really skilled, you know, you would be English wheeling up a new outer skin and, you know, making it all to fit. I know I'm not that skilled. I would like to be, maybe one day, but might be running out of time. But you know, you live and hope that you might kind of get the opportunity to kind of try to do these things. I'd love to have an English wheel in the room to put one in, and a big pneumatic planishing hammer and all that kind of stuff, and try to shrink and stretch steel to go on these compound curves and stuff like that. But yeah, anyway, I digress. I think there is a video of me welding up that's the old boot catch sort of thing, because I've changed all that around. If you haven't seen that, go and check that out. That's it works sort of cable operated boot catch, so there's no boot lock on the outside of this anymore. That reminds me, she's a bit wiggly under there too. Might take a little bit of filler to fix that, but the boot lid's probably going to weigh about 10 kilos more than it did from factory because of all that stuff that is probably going to end up in it. But don't you worry about that. We'll figure that out when we get there. Yeah, so I was going to ask a question. Does anyone know what they are for? They look factory. They look too neat to have been some, you know, dad on Sunday screwing a little sign or something in the inside of the boot lid. They look like a factory thing. I'm wondering, is it maybe like a interior light goes in there or something? I haven't noticed any sort of switching placement for an interior light in the trunk area, but you never know. Could just be in some little factory doodad that goes in there. I don't know. So if you know what that is, what they're for, let me know. But for now, I'm going to fix the rust. Not sponsored in any way. Right, so try and get the lid off. Yeah. I think there's a way in there. There's a thing. Oh, for God's sake. Right. This stuff, this rust fix, Dupli-Color Rust Fix, and it doesn't, you know, it's not like cutting rust out and welding a plate in. It's a converter, from what I can gather. It's got special chemicals in it for converting rust. It does stuff, you know. And I've been using it. I've used it on all my major projects and a few minor ones, just to convert the rust, like this kind of level rust. I've sprayed it inside rust repairs, you know, just to convert stuff that you kind of can't get into with a, you know, sanding and whatnot. Although I kind of sanded all this, but that's all there is to it. Rust converted. Praise Jesus. So that's it for tonight. I'll leave that to do its converting. It's a lot better than what it was. So once I seal it all up and whatnot, it'll be, hopefully it's neutralized, and I got enough of it out that it's neutralized and it's not going to keep growing. It probably will long term, but for the, you know, next 10-15 years, hopefully it's all good. Be nice if it got longer out of that, but you know, might not be my problem by then. Yeah, so till tomorrow, hopefully. Hey guys, right, a couple of days later, my rust converting stuff's all dry. While I was stripping that, I found a little cut in here that I hadn't actually welded up, so I was going to quickly weld that up, and then we're going to flip the bonnet, boot lid, trunk lid over and start stripping all the old primer and stuff that's on there, and hopefully get this thing into epoxy today because it's Saturday. So I'll just quickly weld this up. Sorted? Okay. Alright, so the old Franken boot lid flipped over, ready to start getting all this off. Actually, should be able to get most of it with the old DA, and then tackle the, like, getting it into the little bits with the wire wheel. So I'll hook the DA up to the old R2D2 garage back there, R2D2 there, and hook into this thing and get this stripped back. Looks pretty rugged as it sits at the moment, but yeah, she'll come up alright. Some 80 on there. Alrighty, so that's all that ugliness all DA'd off there with the old DA. Actually, it took about an hour, I guess, to do that side, and about 10 discs, pads, whatever you want to call them. What I kind of do is kind of like sort of rough over it, go over it until the pad's kind of lost its edge, and then I'll kind of go back over it with a new one, and then I'll kind of get in there and work stuff, and then I use the old little little wire wheels on the drill to kind of get into those bits around those welds, to get as much of that out as possible, especially in here because it had an etch primer on it, not just an epoxy X or epoxy. Ears are ringing, should have had earmuffs on. I had an etch primer on this area here from when I deleted the old boot lock, not an epoxy, so I had to try and get that all out as much as possible, as well as any surface rust and shit like that were in the welds and stuff. I don't know what I was thinking with this car, but when I was doing all the chop and doing all this things in the past, I've always sealed it up as soon as I finished it, and I don't know why I didn't with this car. Possibly when I was doing it, it was during the lockdown, I lack of materials and I was kind of running low on everything, so I thought I'll just leave it and then do it later, and I never did until now. Which, if you're going to do this sort of thing, like I should have sealed this boot lid up 2 years ago when I cut it all up, you know. I did the inside for some reason in that epoxy etch, sorry, not epoxy, in that etch, acid etch primer or etch primer, whatever it is. So I had to take all that off again, but it means I wasn't taking surface rust off, it was just taking that paint off, you know. So yeah, seal your shit up. If I'm doing this again, and I know that I've never done it this way before on my other cars, I've always kind of done a repair, done a thing, and then I've sealed it up with an epoxy or, you know, something, just blown something over top of it, stop it flashing off. Whereas I don't know why I didn't with the Area 51, just, I don't know. But anyway, so that's that sorted. I've got to get these, I'm going to get these hinges out because I want to put those into epoxy when I do the boot lid as well. I've got to remember how to take them out. They got a pin in there somewhere, I think. We'll get them out and get them all sanded and wire wheeled and hung up somewhere to epoxy. I want to try and do both sides of this. I wanted to try and do both sides of this boot lid at once, so I want to try and hang it somewhere. I don't know if I've got anything strong enough. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Okay, got it hanging up there. I think it's going to hold. Should be alright for gets the primer on there. This won't be the case when it comes to painting it, but I just want to prime both sides at once. Alright, I'm going to get these hinges out. Alright, if you're wondering ever how to get these hinges out of one of these early 50s Chevs, there's that little pin up there, comes out on that side. So just needs, can't see a thing. Just like that. A little bit of persuading, and that's the pin there. So put that with the other one. And that's it, it's me hinges. Alright, these just need a good clean up, get ready for some primer. Okay, so got my hinges, I don't know if you can see them down there, but got my hinges all prepped up, ready to go, even stamped a left and right onto those, so I know what side they go on. I think normally it doesn't really matter, but with my gas struts sort of stuff in there, it kind of does now. Actually, I'm not doing anything dodgy, trust me, I promise. So just got to give all this a good wipe down with some wax and grease remover, and then I'll get into it with the old epoxy. Hopefully it'll spray better now. Actually, I've probably turned my ear down now actually on the compressor because I had that kind of wound right out, full noise. Since I cleaned it out all proper like in that little filter in the bottom of the cup, will hopefully let paint pass through it now. Actually, I actually put a new one in there, so it should be like good as new. I was talking to a painter during the week, and he was saying for priming he used to just pull that filter out anyway, so on just primer guns and stuff. But so I could try that, since I'm going to kind of dedicate that spray gun to kind of primary duties only, but I'll have to keep an eye on not letting paint dry and build up in it. What about Canada, man? Like Canada, like oh my god, Canada are banning from the 1st of January next year, 2024. They're banning WD-40 from being brought into the country, brake clean, various other items, household items, hair care products that have got VOCs in it, which is volatile organic compounds. How weird is that? Like, what's next? So, you know, quite often here in New Zealand we follow along whatever Canada, America, Australia, Japan's doing. We'll start doing it, you know, soon enough. But so, thanks Canada, setting the precedent. But anyway, we're going to mix up some paint, wipe these panels down, put some gloves on, and put some primer on. Got one coat on. I forgot to do the hinges, so I had to come back and do those, and forgot to actually wipe them down with wax and grease remover, so I got some wax eyes in one part of those. Yeah, you can see on the top there. That'll be right, that's all tucked in up under there. Hopefully the second coat might seal it up. I don't know what I'm doing wrong with this bloody spray gun, man. It's just, I felt it started out alright when I sort of shot those bits, and then it started missing and farting like a bloody larder. So it's kind of like going psh, psh, psh. It was real consistent. And the tip was set up square, but it was spraying on an angle, so don't know what that's about. And I cleaned all that thing out. It might have a bad seal or something in it. It might just be cheap shit, cooked rubbish. But I'll carry on with it. I've already got it all loaded up, so I'll let this flash off, then I'll give it all a second coat and take it from there. Okay, so second coat on the doors, on the boot lid, trunk lid. So that's all epoxied. The hinges are now hanging up over there. So I'll bring the old bomb truck back in and be able to park it underneath this. It doesn't fall as far when it falls off these hooks. They're not sagging, those bolts. No, they look alright. Yeah, I don't know what the story is with that spray gun. You can see, like, see that spray pattern? It's like, that's the tip set straight, and it just wanted to go like that, so I'd turn it sideways and get it straight, and you straighten it up and it goes crooked again. Same thing happened when I was cleaning it out. I was kind of going through like the process of cleaning it out sort of thing, and looking at the spray, the tip as it was spraying just straight thinners, and it was doing the same thing. It goes like that, so it's, and it looks like it's got a kind of twist in the fan. So, and then when you look at the tip, I'll see if I can show you, the air holes kind of look crooked, so it could just, it's always giving me grief, this spray gun. So I don't know if that's normal. Oh shit, that's right, there's a little bit of thinners in there. I don't know if you can see that, but there's those second holes. They're not the same on both sides, so could be the tip, could be me. You know what they say about bad tradesmen blaming his tools. Fortunately, I'm not a tradesman in spray painting, so I can blame my tools. But anyway, that's about all I can do for today. My next sort of step for this trunk lid is I probably want to do kind of the bodywork stuff on the inside of here. It's kind of just awkward, shitty to get to, lots of hand sanding, can't just go nuts with the old DA on it sort of thing. So I'll probably do that before I kind of bolt that back into place, so when I come to prep it for the final paint, it's kind of just give it a rub down and then shoot it, you know. And I'm not trying to like sand Bondo and fiberglass and shit like that upside down on under there, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, squirted some primer into here as well. Found a couple of bits that I didn't actually sand properly. That little line there is bog. I don't know how I missed it. I thought I had that, like, all that shit dialed in, but yeah. But anyway, that's definitely sort of smoothed out these corners a lot nicer now anyway. So we'll I'll still bolt the boot lid back on there before you know I sand all that back, because I'll be able to get into that, you know, easy enough. I just wanted to get the worst, most gnarliest parts of it out of the way before I put that lid back on. Okay, so till tomorrow, hopefully. I'm going to go and do some like lawns and weed eating and garden stuff and a little bit of home maintenance, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, till tomorrow, see you then. How's that for economizing space in a small garage, eh? Not bad. Little update on the bomb truck. Still leaking, so I went out this afternoon and bought a new bottom hose. Fortunately, you can still get the one or the same hose that I used on it last time, since it's not a factory item. Yeah, that's we'll get into that another day, but that's where we're going to leave this video anyway, guys, because like I just like dumped all the files onto the computer, and I thought there's enough on there for one video on, you know, filling that, stripping that, getting it into epoxy. So next video will be probably doing a bit of the kind of cleanup work that I talked about a few minutes ago on the underside of that trunk lid, bonnet lid, boot lid. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So we'll, yeah, get into that. But yeah, if you haven't subscribed, get in there and subscribe and hit the notifications bell if you want to get notifications and just get that information of when a new video's up, so you can follow along on the progress of the Area 51. I'm pretty happy with where it's going at the moment. Like, it's you know, I'm starting to not look like a rusty heap of shit, like, you know, that, and it's starting to kind of clean up. But I do really like that look, strangely enough. So brace yourself. Anyway, so that's where we're going to leave this video. Like I say, if you haven't subscribed, get in there and subscribe. That would be awesome. And as always, thanks for watching, and till next time, take it easy and peace.